Yeah. So welcome everyone. This is our 8th week of our 8-week course. Pretty much, yeah, we're concluding this portion of our class. So if you're not enrolled in my upcoming class, which starts in 2 weeks, yeah, you might miss out on that. So make sure that you enroll. You have a few weeks to enroll. You can enroll even when the class starts. But yeah, if you don't want to miss anything, I would recommend enrolling now. Um, I could stick on at the end of class if anyone wants to confirm if they're enrolled in the class. But if you're with me last semester, you should be in. Um, and then other than that, yeah, today's the last class. So typically the last session's a little bit shorter, just because of paperwork that has to be done behind the background. But we'll get a full body workout right now. Next week we don't meet. Next week is like a transition week. Yeah, so things are rolling over. They need a week to get that handled. So next week there's no class, at least not with me. And then or most of the online classes that are 8 weeks. And yeah, that should do it. And then we start the second 8-week term, and that goes until about mid-May. And I believe we also get some holidays in there, spring break. But I'll mention those as things are upcoming. So yeah. All right. Let's get started with this workout. So we'll start with the stretches. So I'm gonna start here. So let's just look left to right. Yeah, I just started getting better from, the flu or whatever I got about a month ago. And then and I got sick from Julian, I'm pretty sure. And then of course he's sick again. It's something else now. So up and down.
Now is Julian's birthday.
Oh, thank you for asking. His birthday, it was nice. We didn't celebrate a party in Next Circle. The last 2 years we had birthday parties for him. But yeah, this time he went to Disneyland. Um and then on Friday, this last Friday, my wife and his classroom lunch and snacks and goodies. So they sang to him Switch. So that was nice and fun. I was telling my wife I didn't realize sometimes how how dirty little kids could be. So I was like, yeah, we're definitely washing his hands all the time when he comes home. So let's bring our hand over our head. And yeah, I mean it's a lot of children for the teachers or the assistants. So yeah, but I guess as they get a little bit older, they get a little bit messier. So because I don't remember his toddler or his baby classes being um as I guess as little dirty as the one I last saw. So I had my concerns. But yeah, it was nice. And then yeah, over the week we just we had like little cakes and donuts for him. He loves his donuts, so yeah. But yeah, he got sick, so now we kept him home today, bring that right arm across, and then yeah, hopefully back to daycare tomorrow or Wednesday. Yeah, now he's a officially a big boy. He's not a baby anymore. Bring that left arm across.
So you did survive the terrible two, right? Now it's stopped on the
So
three now.
yeah, it's I don't think he was that bad. I mean, I think yeah, it wasn't much of like a obvious headache or transition that I've heard, but I think threes is gonna be something else because let's do trunk rotations. I think at the last month of him being two, I could he's being a little bit more defiant and when if he's complaining or whining, now he's able to explain a little bit better. So he reminds me of like a teenager now, like you're just talking back. So let's do Snow Angels. But yeah, but he's not just whining just to whine and being a baby now. He whines, but he has an explanation for things. So now it seems like I'm talking to a teenager. So I'm like, oh, now you want to justify why you're doing things. Okay. So, but yeah, but he's talking a lot more. Let's do ab circles. But it's just wild that he's 3 already and man, just growing up. They hula hoops. So yeah, the one thing I'm being really strict on right now with him, try to limit it with screen time as much as we can. Sometimes like when we keep him home like this and my wife is working and I'm working, kind of give him a little bit of screen time switch, but we try to avoid that. But what I really avoid is soda. So I know his little cousins and his older sister um like drinking soda, but yeah, I mean, let's do our right quad stretch. I had a growing up just terrible hygiene with teeth and like dentists, so I don't want him to go through that. But yeah, he's already yesterday, we had his family over. Well, his aunts and uncles came and little cousins, and some of the uncles were drinking soda. And yeah, he wanted to get his own soda, and I said no, and it was like the biggest fit. He just wouldn't stop crying for a while. So, and then I show him, it's Google's kind of nice because you could show people disgusting things. So I'm like, just Google disgusting teeth or missing teeth on a smile or something. So I just show him, this ugly mouth. And he's like, you want this? And that's enough to like him to just forget about soda. So I usually just traumatize him a little bit with that. Let's do our hamstring stretch. So let's grab our ankles, bring your glutes down and up. So try to do about 8 to 10 of these. With our deep squat stretch, and then we'll start with the workout. We just drop down, chest nice and up. And you got Cherise, Josefina, Miss Newark, Carmen, Miss Wynn, Mr. Ahmed, Sarah, Georgina, Lisa, Adriana, Olivia, Sherry, Ella. Welcome. And I know it doesn't seem like a full term, but technically it is one of the short ones. So yeah, really appreciate you all. And this time, I think around this time, 5 years ago, I got hired 5 years ago at Santa Ana. And it was around this time when, COVID was kind of hitting the fan and things were questionable. So in about 2 weeks, it would be my 5 year anniversary of doing these classes through Zoom. It's kind of neat. So thank you. And again, the enrollment is what keeps these classes alive. So yeah, so keep on supporting by enrolling. So that's all we ask. Yeah, so anyways, so workout, yoga mat, and dumbbells. And if you do have a chair, you can use a chair as well. But that's gonna be our equipment. So if you wanna gather that equipment, and we'll get started in the next 2 minutes. Grab some water. Right. So we'll get started right now. All right, so we're gonna do our first set. It's gonna be 6 exercises. Um, so this is gonna be 6 exercises. This is more of like a cardio warm-up set. So we're gonna do jumping jacks, bicycle crunches, shoulder taps. And we're gonna be doing shoulder complex with our dumbbells, inchworms, and ice skaters. Okay, so we're gonna do 30 to 40 seconds of work, and then 30 to 20 seconds of recovery, and then we'll go to the next one. Okay, so let me just get the timer. We are doing a little bit of abs, so you might want to set up your yoga mat already. And then we'll take it from there, okay? So jumping jacks, it's gonna be the first one. We're gonna start in 3, 2, 1, and go. So we start with jumping jacks. So 30 to 40 seconds. We're at 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1, time. All right, 20 seconds rest. We have bicycle crunches next. It's on the floor. Okay, 10 seconds. So bicycle crunches, remember your legs are pedaling and your elbows are meeting your opposite knee. 3, 2, 1, go. For 20 seconds. 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1, time. Okay, we have our shoulder taps next, okay? The shoulder taps, you're gonna get on a hand plank and you're just gonna tap your opposite shoulder, okay? Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So tap that opposite shoulder. Keep on tapping. And try to avoid swinging your body so much. So you want to keep your torso pretty solid. And just tap that opposite shoulder. We're at 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1, time. What do we have next? We have our shoulder complex. So grab your dumbbell. You could do these kneeling. So we're just gonna go pretty much up and down, figure eights, steering wheels, in and out, and up and down. So just follow along. Ready, begin. So just up and down right here. Figure eights. So your arms are straight. Steering wheels, so just right here. In and out. And up and down. 3, 2, 1, time. Okay. So the next one, it's an inchworm or a burpee. Okay, so you pick. You know, inchworm is probably gonna be the selection. So the inchworm is just a walking into a hand plank and then coming back up. Okay, and the burpee would be jumping and then planking down. 3, 2, 1, go. 15 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. Okay, and then our last movement is gonna be a skater, which is gonna be this right here. And if that's too much, you could just do an ice skater right here, okay? So it's a little easier. 3, 2, 1, and go. So if you're doing more jumping, you're trying to bring your hips low, and it almost acts like a single leg squat. 15 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, in time. All right, 2 minutes rest. Catch your breath. 2 minutes. I'll let you know what's coming up right now. You get some water. So yeah, so a little bit of a hit workout today. So next one, we're gonna go mountain climbers. Then we're gonna go dumbbell standing neutral grip. So just dumbbells here, coming up this way. And then calf raises. Okay, so calf raises, pretty easy. So we're gonna do 2 rounds of those. Okay. And for the mountain climbers, we're gonna go for 40 seconds, okay? 30 to 40 seconds. Okay. We have about another, what do we have? 40 seconds left. Okay. I'm gonna change my shoes. These shoes slip a little bit. That's another thing. If it's time to replace your shoes, replace them. I know most of you are pretty humble, but if people offer, what do you want for your birthday gift or Mother's Day or Father's Day? Instead of saying, oh, don't get me anything. I don't need anything. I have everything I need. get shoes. Get running shoes or walking shoes or workout shoes. Okay, so you could never have too many of those. You could always rotate running shoes so they last a little bit longer. Okay. All right. So we'll just take that extra 20 seconds. So we start on the solid minute. So remember, mountain climbers, we're going to be here. And then you're going to bring your knees to your chest. Okay. So we're going to go 30 to 40 seconds. We'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. All right, 20 seconds. 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Let that set done. Next, we'll start in 30 seconds. It's going to be our shoulder press, okay? So grab those dumbbells. The shoulder press is going to be 12 to 15. Take it easy on my shoulders. Last time I did my shoulder workout in this class and then another one, and my shoulders were dead for about 4 days. All right, so ready? So 12. So again, you're inside. So 1, 12 to 15, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Great. Good. 30 seconds rest. 30 seconds rest. Remember, with lifts, the more rest you get, especially if you're lifting heavier weights, the better form you're gonna have. So it's important that you take, you don't just like roll on to the next exercise. If you're exhausted, you're gonna have bad form. Yeah, you have bad form. That can lead to injury. So next is our calf raises. So dumbbells at our side and up and down. Okay, that's gonna be 20 of those. Ready? Begin. So calves here, and then quickly up, slowly down. Mhm, 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 and 20. Right. Good stuff. Okay. We're gonna go back to mountain climbers. Okay. We'll go 20 more seconds recovery. We're doing mountain climbers again. 8 seconds. On the floor. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Go. 40 seconds. 20 seconds. 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 30 seconds rest. Standing shoulder presses right now. Ooh. So if you're gonna go a little bit heavier on your weight, if you have an extra dumbbell or two, let's go a little heavier. 5 seconds. Remember, 12 to 15. Ready? Begin. Ten, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So calf raises are next. Okay. We'll start calf raises in 15 seconds. You don't need too much rest for calf raises. And some mountain climbers that kind of takes our breath away. Okay, we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, so up. So 20 of these. So unless you really want to get your calves like really nice and toned, um, I know some folks that really care about how their calves look. So yeah, so you can always do stuff like this. But if you walk around a lot, you go running, sometimes if you're just barefoot a lot, that could be enough work for your calves. So um, that's why we don't do too many calf exercises because unless you're trying to get a um, nice like toned look on them, then they're probably getting plenty of work. I lost count. I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1. I think that's good. All right. Finish that set. Very good. Okay, our next set now is going to be 3 exercises. We're gonna go with the side plank. Okay, so on our side, do a regular side plank. We're gonna do a floor press, so we're gonna be laying on the floor, and we're gonna do just a press here. If that seems a little bit too easy with our dumbbells, what could be a little bit more challenging is a fly. So you could do a fly instead. And then we're gonna do a dumbbell wall sit. So we're just gonna find a nice wall in our area and then do a wall sit for 30 to 40 seconds. Okay. So we'll start that in 20 seconds. So we'll start with the side plank. In the plank, we're gonna go 30 to 40 seconds for those. Okay. We'll start in 10 seconds. So we'll be on the floor. We'll do our right side for the first one. 3, 2, 1, up. So again, just lift your heels, your hips off the floor. Hips are nice and elevated. We'll go 30 to 40 seconds here. 10 more seconds. We're at 30 seconds right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'm gonna grab my floor mat here. Okay, so for this one, remember, you could do a press. So a press, I'll demonstrate. A press would just be here. Okay. That seems fairly easy depending on your weight. And if you want more challenging, just because you don't have heavier weight, you could go this way, out and in. Okay. All right, let's do 10 to 12. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. This should be slow movement too, especially if your weight's are lighter, you want to get the most out of them. So just do the movement slowly. Seven, 8, 9, 10, stuff. All right, you might want to stick around. Oh, yeah, we have our wall sit, so you could get up on your feet. Okay. Remember, just find a nice wall with no obstructions. And we're just gonna go ahead, be up against the wall, just sitting right here with our back resting. Whoop, I'm gonna open the garage door. So just rest up against it, okay? Ready. Ready? We'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. So just sit. – 25 seconds. 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Okay. Good stuff. All right, we get our, this is 1 minute rest. We're gonna go with 30 seconds, okay? So we did a right side plank. So the second round, we're gonna do our left side. Yeah, 5 more seconds. Ready, and begin. 30 to 40 seconds here. At 30 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Okay. Very good. We have our floor press again. Okay, so 30 seconds, we'll start the floor press. And then anytime you do planks, um, there is a chance that your elbows or your arms might get a little bit tired. So if that following movement happens to be a movement where you're using your arms, just be mindful of how your arms feel. So you might want to take more rest just in case your arms are tired from those planks. So just when you're doing workouts on your own, just things to think about. All right, ready? Our floor press. Okay, and go. So let's go 12 to 15 on this round. There. And then your dumbbell won't sit. Okay, let's go ahead up against the wall. We're gonna go for 45 seconds, 40 or 45 on this one. Okay, we have 7 seconds before we start, so just get in position. 3, 2, 1, go. So if we could go 45 seconds, let's do it. Five more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Done with this set. All right. What do we have next? I know we're kind of reaching one of our last sets. This actually might be our last set here. And this is gonna be, okay, yeah, this is gonna be a goblet squat or a front squat. So dumbbells here, and we're doing squats. And then also it's gonna be bent over rows. And then push-ups. Okay, so kind of some of the bigger movements that someone would do at a gym. So squats, usually, again, if you don't want to, if you don't have too much time on your hands and you want to do some big movements, usually you're thinking about like a deadlift, you're thinking squats, you're thinking rows. That's going to be back here, and then push-ups. And if you do those four, you're pretty set. So if you happen to be to not, I'm pretty boring myself, so I don't care. As long as I could be efficient with my time, I'll do those four. But I know I have some clients that they need something different every time. So but yeah, if you stick to those fours, you should be fine. So all right. So the squats, we're gonna do 10 to 15. So grab your dumbbells. 10 to 15. 3, 2, 1, and go. So I just rest them kind of here on my shoulders, and 10 to 15. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Good stuff. And the next one is going to be a dumbbell bent over row. So that's where our back is nice and straight and dumbbells just come down. So what we don't want to do is have our backs like this. Okay, we don't want to be curved. We want to have them straight. So don't think this way. You want to be nice and flat. Okay. All right. I believe we're doing 10 to 15 as well. Get in position. So I just kind of stick my hips back and then just lean my shoulders down. Ready, go. So up and all the way down. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, stuff. All right, push-ups. Okay. Push-ups are next. All right, so push-ups. You could do modified push-ups or traditional push-ups, but I believe we're doing also 10 to 15 on this one. Okay. On your force. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Ooh. So, so 1 minute rest. And then we're gonna do that one more time, and then we're good for today. How's everyone feeling? Yeah, we still have a 40, 50 seconds left. Do you have any questions before we head out? I'll see you, most of you on Wednesday, I'm sure, but if anyone has any questions, let me know. Remember, we have squats, we have our rows, and then push-ups. Let's grab those dumbbells, finish off with our last set. Okay, you're gonna go heavier, go heavier. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get low enough. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Awesome. All right. We have our bent over rows next. All right, so 10 to 15 bent over rows. Ready? Here we go. Got those dumbbells. Fully extend all the way down. Back is nice and straight. Inhale on your way up, exhale on your way down. Up. Ooh. All right. Long set of push-ups. We'll start in like 20, 30 seconds. No, third last set. Yeah, I just popped off some fresh pairs of running shoes yesterday, and it could go hit or miss sometimes with running shoes. Like sometimes, usually the cushioning is nice and feels good, but the way the shoe wraps around your foot, may not be the best sometimes. You get blisters or so anyways, my issue with the new pair of shoes I got was the laces on top of my foot when I'm tying them caused some irritation. So I had to kind of relace my shoes so it wouldn't hurt. Yeah, but I need shoes. So last set, so push-ups, modified or regular, 10 to 15. Ready? Okay, go. Do it. Nice workout. Let me just mark it. And then let's just grab a chair and let's cool down from our chair. Grabbing my chair. I had 5 pound dumbbells, and it shows that I lifted a little bit over 2,000 accumulated um, pounds. So not bad. All right, so yeah, so let's grab our chair and then let's just stretch from here. So do some stretches we didn't do during the warm up. So let's just rotate our torso and hold it there. Does anyone have any questions about the classes or upcoming term? Looks like I'll have the 6 classes in the summer again. Let's switch. Let's go ahead and perform a stretch. The left ankle and that right knee. Anyone traveling this month? Cherise looks disappointed. I'm going camping in 3 weeks, so that's the San Luis Obispo camping trip. So I'm hoping it's like how it was midweek last week, where it was nice and warm. Because if it's like how it was the last 2 days, super windy, or especially yesterday, I don't know if you guys got wind out there. Let's bring that knee up. When I was in San Diego on Saturday for the race, they had wind down there, but yesterday here it was, yeah, it's windy a lot, and it's our tent is pretty much about a 4 minute walk from the water from the ocean. So, and it's not like we're at sea level. We're a little bit elevated on the cliff, so we'll be getting some winds if and push down. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I think I'm way more excited than anyone in my family to go. I think everyone else is just like, oh, great. But little do they know it's beautiful out there. Let's switch. Yeah, and then that's all I have for March. I think it's just a bunch of track meets. I have a track meet this Friday. And then on Saturday, it's my goddaughter's 10th birthday. And I have to bring one of my athletes with me because from there, we're driving to Occidental College for another race. So I'll race on Friday and Saturday. Get out. And then I think I'm doing a 5K on March 16th. So if anyone wants to join, it's in Long Beach. Yeah, and it's just on the bike path, so nice and flat. It's pretty, yeah, I think it's pretty affordable. Now races have gotten pretty expensive, like $50 plus. This one might be like 35. So and then let's push down. And then in April, I think I have possibly a race in Temecula. I'm not sure. Um, that's not much of a trip though, because it's very likely I'm gonna be heading there on like a Saturday morning at 4 in the morning and come back by noon. So it's not really a trip. And let's hug it out. Bring that knee up. Very good. So that does it for this class for the 8 weeks terms. Any questions before we head out? Carmen, are you there?
To YouTube.
I'm sorry?
Don't forget to upload this video to YouTube.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sometimes I don't do the last one because depending on how the class is set up, sometimes Canvas just goes down for the class like the following day. But yeah, but I could do it on YouTube. So if you don't find it on the Canvas shell, you could always go on the YouTube channel. But yeah. Any other questions or comments?
No, I'm tired.
You're tired? Yeah. I know this one was more of like a hit, like to start off, and it finished off with like the heavier classes, so or heavier lifts. But yeah, no. So don't be shy. Turn on your cameras when you're working out. Sometimes it's just a few of us. So, Josefina with her green screen in somewhere it looks like in Japan. But I'll see you Wednesday, and then we don't meet next week, and then yeah, we go on into the summer. So yeah, just remember, I think in the next 8 week term, we have Cesar Chavez lands on a Monday. So again, every school district is different, so I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Santa Ana does observe it. And then also spring break. I'm not even gonna mention or consider when spring break is because I feel like spring break now has become, it could be like late March or early April or mid-April. So I'll look at the calendar and figure it out. But yeah, it's gonna be one of those weeks. I've had spring break at 3 different weeks when I worked at 3 different colleges. So but yeah. So everyone have a good day, and I'll see you on Wednesday or in 2 weeks.
Thanks,
Thank
Julio.
Thank
All right, bye folks.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care, have a good week.
Thank you.